We start with some breaking news. Spokane police asking for your help in finding a missing 11-year-old boy. So take a look at your screen right now. This is Daniel Ryken. He was last seen at around 3:30 this afternoon near Whitman Elementary School in northeast Spokane. He's described as being just under 4 feet tall and weighing about 70 pounds with red hair, as you can see right there. And he was last seen wearing a red baseball hat, a Mariners jersey, jeans, and green and black shoes. Police describe Daniel as a runaway, but if you see him, you are encouraged to call that number right there on your screen. Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 11 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan. In just a matter of weeks, thousands of students from across the inland Northwest will head back to school, and unlike last year, the vast majority of students will return to in-person learning. But what will that look like this year? KREM 2's Morgan Trout joining us live in the studio tonight. And Morgan, what can parents expect this school year?
Mark, like usual, tonight's meeting was intense. Let's get right to it. Masks will be required, with some exceptions like when they're eating or when students are outdoors.
That wasn't the entire meeting. There were two major items on the agenda. Like you said, what is the school year going to look like for community members? Also, a potential new equity policy based around eliminating barriers and improving access for all students. After the past year of hybrid learning, Spokane Public Schools families can breathe a sigh of relief. Students can now go to school full-time for in-person learning. If they aren't interested in that, the Spokane Virtual Academy will be available again this year. But not every family was satisfied.
My daughter said last year when they were doing roll call in there, one of her teachers called it a concentration camp.
It's easier to wear a mask than bury grandma.
I am appalled that people are standing here saying that it's not the school's job to institute safety procedures and that we can't be talking about critical race theory because that's the parents' job, yet you can't seem to find it within your own selves to talk about preserving our society.
The other major points of contention was the equity policy, which basically just means that they want all students to feel supported, no matter their race, ethnicity, class, ability, gender, or sexual orientation. With critical race theory in the news, the school district had to take the time to differentiate between CRT and their proposed policy. CRT is an academic concept based around how racism is embedded in our institutions and our laws. School leaders say that's too complex to be utilized in high school level learning and below. So, SPS does not teach critical race theory.
The board voted to move forward with the new equity policy. All that really means for parents is that your child will have just as much of an opportunity as the student who sits beside them in math class. We will have more information on our website about the school updates. In the studio tonight, Morgan Trout, KREM 2 News.
Morgan, thank you very much. Our other top story tonight, the weather and excessive heat warning officially in place throughout the inland Northwest. Meteorologist Michelle Boss joining us from the Outdoor Weather Center tonight. Michelle, not only are we tracking those hot temperatures, but also the potential for wildfire smoke to move back into the region.
That's right. Of course, temperatures were hot today. We saw the beginning of that excessive heat with a high today of 99 degrees. That was just a couple degrees below the record high of 101. Still warm, very warm this evening with temperatures checking in at 83 degrees in Spokane. Has cooled off into the 70s in Deer Park and Sandpoint, but pretty much 80s across the rest of the region. Okay, that excessive heat warning does continue through Saturday. We should get a break from the heat starting on Sunday and cooler temperatures next week, but we are expecting high temperatures in the upper 90s and low 100s all across Washington, in the Idaho Panhandle from Coeur d'Alene down into the Palouse, and even the Grangeville area included in a heat advisory. Also want to add that tomorrow we do expect some gustier winds across the Okanagan Valley. So red flag warnings have been posted. Of course, extremely dry conditions there. The Okanagan Valley, the Methow Valley as well, under a red flag warning from 8 o'clock tomorrow morning until 8 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And with that additional potential for increased activity at the area of fires, of course, we do have the potential to see more haze. Satellite infrared satellite doesn't really pick up that haze very well. So other than the potential for haze, we do have mostly clear skies out there tonight. Are expecting dry conditions through the first half of the weekend. Air quality has been in the moderate category for most of the day today and checks in again in the moderate category at the 11 o'clock hour. Here's a look at the next 3 days. Hot, hot, hot. 97 tomorrow and mostly sunny skies Friday and Saturday with highs near 100.
All right, Michelle, thank you very much. And with the potential for more record heat this week, cooling centers around Spokane are opening up. The cooling center at the Louvre Carousel will be open tomorrow from 11 in the morning until 8 p.m. It'll be open every day until temperatures drop below 95 degrees. Also, library branches, they'll also open as cooling centers. And if you don't have AC or just need a place to cool down but don't have a car, STA will be offering free door-to-door transportation to cooling centers. The only caveat, they need 2 hours notice to schedule a trip. And if you'd like more information about the excessive heat or the cooling centers opening around Spokane, just text us the word heat to 509-448-2000 and we'll send that link directly to your phone. With the Delta variant spreading all across the country and with kids gearing up to go back to school, people are wondering if there's an increase in COVID cases among children. Ariane Detil with our National Verify team looked into it.
Children across the country will be heading back to school soon, and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is recommending they wear masks. The recommendation was made in part because the COVID-19 vaccines are not yet authorized for children younger than 12 and the rise of the Delta variant. But that recommendation has some people wondering, is there a rise in COVID-19 cases among children? So let's verify. Our sources are AAP, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and Dr. Gabe Kellen, professor and chair at Johns Hopkins University Department of Emergency Medicine.
So the data are not fully in, but we are very concerned about the numbers of infections that we're seeing in children.
The definition of child varies by state, but the AAP says it typically means anyone 19 and younger. After declining in early summer, cases of COVID-19 in children steadily increased in July. According to the latest data from the AAP, 72,000 children tested positive for COVID-19 during the last week of July. That number is nearly double than the week before. The CDC says the increase in child cases coincides with a national spike that's tied to the spread of the Delta variant. In its weekly review on July 30th, the CDC said the 7-day average for new COVID-19 cases increased by 64% compared to the previous week. But a spokesperson for the AAP said it's too early to tell how the Delta variant is affecting children. In a statement to Verify, they said, right now there is no data to show if the variant is more dangerous to children, and so it's premature for our experts to comment on it. So we can verify it is true. There is a rise in COVID-19 cases among children, though experts say not enough information yet exists to determine if the Delta variant is more dangerous to children. With your Verify, I'm Ariane Detil.
The Washington Department of Health just released new COVID restrictions that will apply to student athletes this upcoming school year. Sports Director Brenna Green explains how these rules will dictate what student athletes and fans will be required to do.
Hi, Mark. The long and short of it is this. Being vaccinated will make your life a lot easier as a student athlete this year, but in large part, masks will not be required for participants regardless of vaccination status. Masks will not be required for vaccinated students at any risk level of sports, and they will not be required for unvaccinated students in low or moderate risk sports. However, at high risk sports, which are basketball, wrestling, and water polo, the rules are a bit different for unvaccinated individuals. Those student athletes have to participate in twice weekly screening testing in order to not have to wear a mask while playing. If participants don't want to do screening testing, then they will have to wear a mask. Student athletes in outdoor sports do not have to wear a mask regardless of vaccination status. All coaches, trainers, and support personnel must wear masks for indoor sports regardless of vaccination status, and the same goes for spectators. Speaking of spectators, there doesn't appear to be any rules for them outdoors, but indoors they have to be seated in family units with groups 3 feet apart. That probably means no student sections for indoor sports this year. So sports looking a little bit more normal than last year, but still we're not quite back to 100% normal yet. Back to you.
Brenda, thank you very much. Another big update for students going back to school. All Idaho public universities are reinstating face mask requirements. The new mandate goes for everybody regardless of vaccination status. At the University of Idaho, the requirement will be reviewed every 3 weeks and then communicated to staff and students. Also new today, Whitworth University here in Spokane will be requiring masks for everybody in indoor settings of 8 people or more. We know that was a lot of information, so for the latest, you can always check krem.com or just text us the word vaccine to 509-448-2000 and we'll send that information directly to your phone. The former Spokane police officer accused of raping 2 women pleaded not guilty in his second rape case today. Just last week, former officer Nathan Nash was arrested and booked on 2 felony charges. He made his first court appearance last Thursday. Court Commissioner John Stein set his bond at $50,000, saying similarities between the new rape case and Nash's first rape case show that he could pose a risk to the community. However, Nash posted bond and was released from jail. He remains out of custody today. A car wash was held today to raise money for the 19-month-old girl whose life was tragically cut short. A doctor working with investigators said 19-month-old Azalea died after suffering severe injuries indicative of child abuse. The mother's boyfriend was watching the toddler at the time. He is now charged with assault, but those charges could be upgraded. Today, the toddler's family and friends put on a car wash to help raise money for her funeral.
She touched a lot of lives, Anybody who knew her, didn't know her, knew Chloe, didn't know Chloe, knew our family. Everybody's just amazing right now. And we couldn't thank you guys enough, and our family is very appreciative.
I'll be holding another car wash tomorrow from noon to 7 on East Garland Avenue. This is just one way that you can help raise funds. The family also has a Facebook donation page. To find out more on ways to help the family, just text the word HELP to 509-448-2000. Well, we know what started a house fire in Pullman that displaced several students and destroyed 2 houses, a discarded joint. Investigators say the fire was started accidentally by embers from a joint smoked by 2 visitors. They were able to determine strong winds ignited the embers, which spread rapidly to the house. 1 firefighter was injured, but no one else was hurt during the incident. Still ahead tonight, long wait times and a lack of available appointments for a COVID test has a lot of people pretty frustrated. So does that mean we are facing another testing shortage? We'll look into that. Plus, keep your eyes to the skies tonight because the best meteor shower of the year is coming our way.